We continue the Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation of the Quran with Suwrah to Nahl, the bees. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, inevitably cometh to pass the command of God. Seek ye not then to hasten it. Glory to him, and far is he above having partners, and they ascribe to him. He doth send down his angels, unfallen angels, with the inspiration of his command to such of his servants as he pleaseth, saying, warn that there is no God but I, so do your duty unto me. He has created the heavens and the earth for just ends. Far is he above having the partners they ascribe to him. He has created humanity from a sperm drop, and behold, this same becomes an open disputer, and cattle he has created for you. From them ye derive warmth and numerous benefits, and of their meat ye eat, and ye have a sense of worth and beauty in them, as ye drive them home in the evening, and as ye lead them forth to pasture in the morning. Now I would probably render that as, and ye have a sense of esteem and beauty in them. Yeah. And they carry your heavy loads, or instead of esteem, maybe honor. And they carry your heavy loads to lands that you could not otherwise reach except with souls distressed. For your Lord is indeed most kind, most merciful, and horses, mules, and donkeys for you to ride and use for show. He has created other things of which ye have no knowledge, and unto God leads straight the way. But there are ways that turn aside. If God had willed, he could have guided all of you. It is he who sends down rain from the sky, from it ye drink, and out of it grows the vegetation on which ye feed your cattle. With it he produces for you corn, olives, date palms, grapes, and every kind of fruit. Verily, in this is a sign for those who give thought. He has made subject to you the night and the day, the sun and the moon, and the stars are in subjugation by his command. Verily, in this are signs for men who are wise, and the things on this earth which he has multiplied in varying colors and qualities. Verily, in this is a sign for men who celebrate the praises of God and gratitude. It is he who has made the sea subject that ye may eat thereof, flesh that is fresh and tender, and that ye may extract therefrom ornaments to wear. And thou seest the ships therein that plow the waves, that ye may seek thus of the bounty of God, and that ye may be grateful. And he has set up on the earth mountains, standing firm, lest it should shake with you, and rivers and roads, that ye may guide yourselves, and marks and signposts, and by the stars guide themselves. Is it then he who creates like one that creates not? Will ye not receive admonition? If ye would count up the favors of God, never would ye be able to number them, for God is oft forgiving, most merciful, and God doth know what ye conceal and what ye reveal. Those whom they invoke besides God create nothing and are themselves created, and that they are things then lifeless, nor do they know when they will be raised up. Your God is one God. As to those who believe not in the hereafter, their hearts refuse to know, and they are arrogant. Undoubtedly God doth know what they conceal and what they reveal. Verily he loveth not the arrogant. The character trait, the move, is this, stuck berine. So that's a different word for pride that we saw before, which doesn't quite always reach into pride. When it is said to them, what is revealed? What is it that your Lord has revealed? They say, tales of the ancients. Let them bear on the day of judgment their own burdens in full, and also something of the burdens of those without knowledge, whom they misled. Alas, how grievous the burdens they will bear! And those before them did also plot against God's way. But God took their structures from their foundations, and the roof fell down on them from above, and the wrath seized them from directions they did not perceive. Then on the day of judgment he will cover them with shame and say, where are my partners concerning whom ye used to dispute with the godly? Those endued with knowledge will say, in this day indeed are the unbelievers covered with shame and misery, namely, those whose lives the unfallen angels take in a state of wrongdoing to their own souls. Then would they offer submission with their pretense. We did no evil knowingly. The angels will reply, nay, but verily God knoweth all that ye did. So enter the gates of hell to dwell therein. And thus evil indeed is the abode of the arrogant. To the righteous, when it is said, what is it that your Lord has revealed? And they say all that is good to those who do good. There is good in this world, and the home of the hereafter is even better, and excellent indeed is the home of the righteous. Gardens of eternity which they will enter, beneath them flow pleasant rivers, and they will have therein all that they wish. And thus doth God reward the righteous, namely, those whose lives the angels, unfallen, like pigs, take in the state of purity, saying to them, peace be on you, enter ye the garden, because of the good which ye did in the world. Do they wait until the unfallen angels come to them, or there comes the command of thy Lord for their doom? So did those who went before them, but God wronged them not. Nay, they wronged their own souls, but the evil results of their deeds overtook them, and that very wrath at which they had scoffed hemmed them in. The worshippers of the partners treated as gods say, if God had so willed, we should not have worshipped aught but him, neither we nor our fathers. Nor should we have prescribed prohibitions other than his. So did those who went before them. But what is the mission of messengers but to preach the clear message? For we assuredly sent amongst every people a messenger with the command, serve God, and eschew evil. Of the people were some who God guided, and some on whom error became inevitably established. So travel through the earth and see what was the end of those who denied the truth. If thou art anxious for their guidance, yet God guideth not such as he leads to stray, and there is none to help them. And they swear their strongest oath by God that God will not raise up those who die. Nay, but it is a promise binding on him in truth. But most among mankind realize it not. They must be raised up in order that he may manifest to them the truth of that wherein they differ, and that the rejectors of truth may realize that they had indeed surrendered to falsehood. For to anything which we have willed, we but say the word be, and it is. To those who leave their homes in the cause of God after suffering oppression, we will assuredly give a goodly home in this world, but truly the reward of the hereafter will be greater if they only realized this. They are those who persevere in patience and put their trust on their Lord. And before thee also the messengers we sent were but men, to whom we granted inspiration. If ye realize this not, acts of those who possess the message, we sent them with clear signs and scriptures, and we have sent down unto thee the message, that thou mayest explain clearly to men what is sent for them, and that they may give thought. Do then those who devise evil plots feel secure that God will not cause the earth to swallow them up, our seas, or that the wrath will not seize them from directions they little perceive, or that he may not call them to account in the midst of their goings to and fro, without a chance of their frustrating him, or that he may not call them to account by a process of slow wastage. For thy Lord is indeed full of kindness and mercy. Do they not look at God's creation, even among inanimate things, how their shadows turn from the right and the left, prostrating themselves to God, and that in the humblest manner? And to God doth obeisance all that is in the heavens and on earth, whether moving, living creatures, or the unfallen angels, for none are arrogant before their Lord. They all revere their Lord high above them, and they do all that they are commanded. And verse 48 through 50, after that, the prostration on the nose and forehead, the hands, the knees, and the feet. If you bend your toes forward, if you can, otherwise, that foot twisting thing. But أَوَّلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَّا مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ يَتَفَيَّأُ ظِلَالُهُ عَنِ الْيَمِينِ وَالشِّمَالِ سُجَّدًا لِلَّهِ وَهُمْ دَاخِرُونَ وَلِلَّهِ يَسْجُدُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ مِن دَابَّةٍ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ وَهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ يَخَافُونَ رَبَّهُم مِّن فَوْقِهِمْ وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. God has said, take not for worship two gods, for he is just one God, then fear me and me alone. To him belongs whatever is in the heavens and on the earth, and to him is duty due always. Then will ye fear other than God, and ye have no good thing, but it is from God. And moreover, when ye are touched by distress, unto him ye cry with groans. Yet when he removes the distress from you, behold, some of you turn to others as if they're gods, to join with their Lord, as if to show their ingratitude for the favors we have bestowed on them. Then enjoy your brave day, but soon will ye know your folly. And they even assign to things they do not know a portion out of that which we have bestowed for their sustenance. By God, Ye shall certainly be called to account for your false inventions, and they assign daughters for God, glory be to him, and for themselves sons. Issue. They desire, when news is brought to one of them of the birth of a female child, his face darkens and he is filled with inward grief. With shame does he hide himself from his people because of the bad news he has had, according to his own reckoning. Shall he retain it on sufferance and contempt are buried in the dust? Ah, what an evil choice they decide on. And even in feminist countries and communist countries, female fetuses are targeted for abortion. To those who believe not in the hereafter applies the similitude of evil. To God applies the highest similitude, for he is the exalted in power, full of wisdom. If God were to punish humanity for their wrongdoing, he would not leave on the earth a single living creature, but he gives them respite for a stated term. When their term expires, they would not be able to delay the punishment for a single hour, just as they would not be able to anticipate it for a single hour. They attribute to God what they hate for themselves, and their tongues assert the falsehood that all good things are for themselves without doubt. For them is the fire, and they will be the first to be hastened on into it. By God we also sent our prophets to people before thee, but Satan made to the wicked their own acts seem alluring. He is also their patron today, but they shall have a most grievous penalty. And we sent down the book to thee for the express purpose that thou shouldest make clear to them those things in which they differ, and that it should be a guide and a mercy to those who believe. And God sends down rain from the skies and gives therewith life to the earth after its death. Verily, in this is a sign for those who listen, and verily in cattle too will ye find an instructive sign. From what is within their bodies between excretions and blood we produce for your drink milk pure and agreeable to those who drink it, and from the fruit of the date palm and the vine ye get out wholesome drink and food. Behold, in this also is a sign for those who are wise. And verse 67, so you get benefit and some getting intoxicants. So obviously intoxicants is not listed under benefit, right? And my Lord taught the bee to build its cell in hills, on trees and in habitations, then to eat of all the produce of the earth, and to find with skill the spacious paths of its Lord. There issues from within their bodies a drink of varying colors, wherein is healing for humanity. Verily, and this is a sign for those who give thought. It is God who creates you and takes your souls at death. And of you there are some who are sent back to a feeble age, so that they know nothing after having known much. For God is all-knowing, all-powerful. God has bestowed his gifts of sustenance more freely on some of you than on others. Those more favored are not going to throw back their gifts to those whom their right hands possess, so as to be equals in that respect. Will they then deny the favors of God? And God has made for you mates and companions of your own nature, and made for you out of them sons and daughters and grandchildren, and provided for your sustenance of the best. Will they then believe in vain things and be ungrateful for God's favors and worship others than God, such as have no power of providing them for sustenance with anything in the heavens or earth, and cannot possibly have such power? Invent not similitudes for God knoweth and ye know not. God sends forth the parable of two men, one a slave under the dominion of another. He has no power of any sort, and the other, a man on whom we have bestowed goodly favors from ourselves, and he spends thereof freely. Privately and publicly are the two equal? By no means. Praise be to God, but most of them understand not. God sets forth another parable of two men, one of them dumb with no power of any sort. A wearisome burden is he to his master. Whichever way he directs him, he brings no good. Is such a man equal with one who commands justice and is on the straight way? To God belongeth the mystery of the heavens and the earth, and the decision of the hour of judgment is as the twinkling of an eye, or even quicker, for God hath power over all things. It is he who brought you forth from the wombs of your mothers, when ye knew nothing, and he gave you hearing and sight and intelligence and affection, that ye may give thanks to God. Do they not look at the birds held poised in the midst of the air and the sky? Nothing holds them up but the power of God. Verily, in this are signs for those who believe. It is God who made your habitations, homes of rest and quiet for you, and made for you out of the skins of animals tents for dwellings which ye find so light and handy when ye travel and when ye stop in your travels. And out of their wool and their soft fibers, between wool and hair, and their hair, rich stuff and articles of convenience to serve you. For a time, it is God who made out of the things he created some things to give you shade. Of the hills he made some for your shelter. He made you garments to protect you from heat, and coats of mail to protect you from your mutual violence. Thus does he complete his favors on you, that ye may bow to his will. To the moon. But if they turn away, thy duty is only to preach the clear message. They recognize the favors of God, then they deny them, and most of them are creatures, ungrateful. One day we shall raise from all peoples a witness, then will no excuse be accepted from unbelievers, nor will they receive any favors when the wrongdoers actually see the penalty. Then will it in no way be mitigated, nor will they receive respite. Then those who gave partners to God will see their partners, and they will say, Our Lord, these are our partners, those whom we used to invoke beside thee. But they will throw back their word at them and say, Indeed, you're liars. In that day shall they openly show their submission to God, and their inventions shall leave them in the lurch. Those who reject God and hinder men from the path of God for them will we add penalty to penalty, for that they used to spread mischief. One day we shall raise from all peoples a witness against them from amongst themselves, and we shall bring thee as a witness against these thy people. And we have sent down to thee a book explaining all things, a guide, a mercy, and glad tidings to those who surrender. God commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin, and he forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that ye may receive admonition, fulfill the covenant of God, when ye have entered into it, and break not your oaths after ye have confirmed them. Indeed, ye have made God your surety, for God knoweth all that ye do, and be not like a woman who breaks into untwisted strands the yarn she has spun after it has become strong, nor take your oaths to practice deception between yourselves, lest one party should be more numerous than another. For God will test you by this, and on the day of judgment he will certainly make clear to you the truth of that wherein ye disagree. And are they talking the Seher, the evil magic, the woman who, or are they talking just a crazy woman who sows and unsows? If God so willed, he could have made you all one people, but he leaves straying whom he pleases, and he guides whom he pleases. But ye shall certainly be called to account for all your actions, and take not your oaths to practice deception between yourselves, with the result that someone's foot may slip after it was firmly planted, and ye may have to taste the evil consequences of having hindered from the path of God, and a mighty wrath descend on you, nor sell the covenant of God for a miserable price. For with God is a prize far better for you, if ye only knew what is with you must vanish, and what is with God will endure, and we will certainly bestow on those who patiently persevere their reward according to the best of their actions. Whoever works righteousness, man or woman, and has faith, verily to him will we give a new life, and life that is good and pure, and we will bestow on such their reward according to the best of their actions. When thou dost read the Quran, seek God's protection from Satan, the rejected one. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. No authority has he over those who believe and put their trust in their Lord. His authority is over those only who take him as patron and who join partners with God. When we substitute one revelation for another, and God knows best what he reveals in stages. They say thou art but a forger, but most of them understand not. Say the Holy Spirit has brought the revelation from thy Lord in truth, in order to strengthen those who believe, and as a guide and glad tidings to those who surrender Muslimin to God. We know indeed that they say it is man that teaches him. The tongue of him they wickedly point to is notably foreign, while this is Arabic, pure and clear. Those who believe not in the signs of God, God will not guide them, and theirs will be a grievous penalty. It is those who believe not in the signs of God that forge falsehood. It is they who lie. Anyone who, after accepting faith in God, utters unbelief except under compulsion, his heart remaining firm in faith, but such as open their breasts to unbelief, on them is wrath from God, and theirs will be a dreadful penalty. And this is because they love the life of this world better than the hereafter, and God will not guide those who reject faith. They are those whose hearts, ears, and eyes God has sealed up, and they take no heed without doubt in the hereafter. They will perish. But verily, thy Lord, to those who leave their homes after trials and persecutions, and who thereafter strive and fight for the faith, and patiently persevere, thy Lord, after all this, is oft forgiving, most merciful. One day every soul will come up struggling for itself, and every soul will be recompensed fully for all its actions, and none will be unjustly dealt with. God sets forth a parable, a city enjoying security and quiet, abundantly supplied with sustenance from every place, yet it was ungrateful for the favors of God. So God made it taste of hunger and terror and extremes, closing in on it like a garment from every side, because of the evil which its people wrought. And there came to them a messenger from among themselves, but they falsely rejected him. So the wrath seized them even in their midst of their iniquities. So eat of the sustenance which God has provided for you, lawful and good, and be grateful for the favors of God. If it is he whom ye serve, he has only forbidden you dead meat, animals that die to themselves, and blood, and the flesh of swine, and any very dirty, very foul animal. You know, the animals that eat meat, that are land animals, the scavengers. Those with talons, fangs, and claws. And any over which the name of other than God has been invoked. But if one is forced by necessity without willful disobedience nor transgressing due limits, then God is oft forgiving, most merciful. As in, people are not excused to do what they like, but if it's the only option. But say not for any false thing that your tongues may put forth, this is lawful, and this is forbidden, so as to ascribe false things to God. For those who ascribe false things to God will never prosper, and such falsehood is but a paltry profit, but they will have a most grievous penalty. To the Jews we prohibited such things as we have mentioned to thee before, but we did them no wrong, but they were used to doing wrong to themselves. The kosher laws are even stricter than that. But verily, thy Lord to those who do wrong in ignorance, but who thereafter repent and make amends, thy Lord after all this is oft forgiving, most merciful. Abraham was indeed a model devoutly obedient to God, and true in faith, and he joined not gods with God. He showed his gratitude for the favors of God, who chose him and guided him to a straight way. And we gave him good in this world, and he will be in the hereafter in the ranks of the righteous. So we have taught thee the inspired message. Follow the ways of Abraham, the true in faith, and he joined not partners with God. The Sabbath was only made strict for those who disagreed as to its observance. Sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. But God will judge between them on the day of judgment as to their differences. Invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in ways that are best and most gracious, for thy Lord knoweth best who have strayed from his path and who receive guidance. And if ye do catch them out, no worse than they catch you out. But if ye show patience, that is indeed the best course for those who are patient. And do thou be patient, for thy patience is but from God. Nor grieve over them, and distress not thyself because of their plots, for God is with those who restrain themselves and those who do good. And before getting into another chapter with a prostration verse, we see the examples of the beef, the example of the cow. What do these mean? What do these mean to us? 68 and 69. The bee. And where's that lesson of the cattle? Well, we have different lessons for the cattle, but the one that I kind of focus on myself is the three things that the cattle produce. Oh, okay, that's verse 66. So 66 through 69 are an essential selection, and I like to read from that when traveling. And raw honey is a particularly important thing. You can treat allergies and all sorts of stuff, but don't want to go too much into that because I don't want to be accused of practicing medicine or something and whatever. But